Welcome once again to the FGA Report. I am your host, Brian Smith, and with me tonight is Bruce Mitchell, defensive back out of Dallas. We're going to go outside the box a little bit tonight and venture outside of Florida, Georgia, and Alabama just to kind of get a perspective on what it's like in the Lone Star State, which ironically is the high school that you play at, Frisco Lone Star. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on. You're a Dallas guy. You're obviously well equipped to talk some football. Thank you for joining the show.
No problem, man. Happy to be here.
All right. It's ironic that I had you on because you were standing about 5 feet from me this past weekend, and I didn't even know it at a 7-on-7 tournament. I didn't know you were with Team Flex. You were I think the only squad in the entire Pylon tournament from the state of Texas. But you guys made it to, I think, the quarterfinals before getting knocked out. But what's it like, just for people to understand generically, Dallas? I mean, I'm sure because I've done it. You go to a coffee shop, you can go to any type of retail establishment. There's a good chance somebody's either talking about the Cowboys, the Longhorns, Frisco High School. It could be just any high school. They could be talking about some school like North Shore down in Houston.
Right.
What's it like being in an environment where football is pretty much the bread and butter of the social atmosphere in the whole city and the whole state?
I mean, it's crazy. Like, Texas football is literally, like, it's all we do here. It's all everybody talks about. Texas, we live and breathe. We literally live and breathe football. It's wherever you go, we're talking about football.
Like the Cowboys got beat in the first round. I'm sure the next day it was a moratorium and nobody had to go to work. You know what I mean? Like they played bad, by the way. That was pretty ugly.
I am not a Cowboys fan by any means, so.
Okay. Well, you live right down the street from their facility. That's funny. You're probably just sick of hearing about them, but
yeah, I am.
Well, that's not surprising. I am too. The point is still the same. When you think about football, the state of Texas comes up no matter what state a person is in a conversation. But living there, you've been indoctrinated, basically. This is what we do. When did you know that football was going to be your sport? Like, were you 5 years old? Were you 12? Like, how old were you?
I actually used to live in Arkansas. So
okay.
So
another big football state.
Yeah. So when I was maybe 8 years old, like I just started. That was really my first couple of years playing football, and that's when it kind of all started for me. And then when I really, really knew like I could like go far with this, and like this could be, something I can do for the rest of my life, was probably about the 7th grade when I realized I was like really good at this football thing, and like I could really do something with it. So it's been a blessing for sure.
Well, that realization probably, I would assume, motivated you, to put it mildly, and it made life a lot easier because when you're motivated and you have a passion and there's a chance for a free education, I'm sure that mom and dad were real happy about that perspective, and anybody around you, your coaches, etc. Football has been a part of your life now for basically a decade, where it's a daily habit.
Mm-hmm.
I got you down at 6 foot and just under 190 pounds. You play corner, you could play safety. You've played receiver before, and now you're at Lone Star High School in Frisco. And for people that wonder, Frisco is basically Dallas. It's the first suburb north. It's Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's just a big money suburb. There's Frisco High School. There's the high school that you're at. And I think there's one other in Frisco. I can't remember which one. Liberty, if I remember right. But all of them have players, and it's just a typical Dallas kind of deal. Is it easy to be ready every day? Like, is it just like, because when you go practice 7-on-7 at your high school, there's always guys around. Is that part of the motivation for you?
It actually is, because every day you're going to play somebody, or you're going to practice against somebody that's might be just as good as you, or if not better. So, like, the motivation to go out there every day and compete it's like no other. I'm sure y'all have the same thing down in there in Florida. So,
there's some of it. The kids here are a little different. They all think that they're the next Jalen Ramsey, which that's a conversation for another day. Evan Stewart is from your area, different guys like that. I mean, Evan's a freak. I've seen him live, but that's just something you're used to. I thought he was as good a receiver as there was in the country, and he lives like 5 minutes from you. What's it like going up against some of these guys in 7-on-7 and 1-on-1s? There's nowhere to hide when you're at corner and Evans across from you, and I'm sure you've been there at some point. What's that like?
I mean, I pride myself from having a fear of nobody except my Lord and Savior. So, it's definitely tough sometimes, but it's all about the competition. It's all about getting better. So, I mean, if you beat me, you beat me, but I'm gonna get it back. So
That's the mentality. DB's going to lose.
gotta
You know
have.
what I mean? You're going to lose reps. I don't know if you remember in the NFC Championship game, Jalen Ramsey was playing, but the week before when he gave up the touchdown to Evans on the deep ball, a lot of people were dogging him. Well,
That,
he's still human.
right,
He made an error and kind of slowed down, thought the play was over, and Evans kept rolling. And Tom Brady don't miss much when you give him a window.
right.
So that's part of it. But they still won the game. He came back and still made plays.
Is you're gonna get beat for a touchdown at some point. Like you're gonna give up a big play. You just gotta have short term memory and get past it. Because if you don't get past it, it's gonna end up being another big play and another big play. So you just gotta put it in the back of your mind and worry about it the next day after the game.
That's 100%.
Yeah.
I won't name the team or the game, but there was a game not that long ago where one team was definitively better than the other, but this is a true team sport.
Mm-hmm.
And a corner was having a really bad day, and he let it get in his head, and they just threw at him every play, and the other team lost, even though they had more talent, because one player couldn't get past it. And once you do that, the other side of the field, they had an NFL level player.
Mm-hmm.
They just said, "The heck with it. We ain't throwing over there." They just smoked the other kid, and it is what it is. So that's an important attribute for anybody out there. It's a young kid that's thinking about DB. It's a challenge. It's worth the challenge, and it's the number one position that coaches are always looking for because not a lot of guys want to play DB like Bruce.
Right.
But again, there's an Evan Stewart in some way, shape, or form in every state. And maybe not quite as good as Evan, but guys are going to beat you. So you just have to find a way to get past it. I'm going to put up some film now. We'll watch a little bit of what you got going on. It's interesting to me. Like I said, Dallas, it's one of my favorite places to visit. I'd spoken to you about that before the show. And the other reason that I like it so much is the opportunity for so much competition in a small area. Well, not that Dallas is small, but it just feels that way because everybody's talking about football. You played receiver your first couple of years. Do you think that helped you with stuff like this,
Yeah.
reading the guys?
It actually really does because like when I see certain concepts, like I just recognize it and I immediately just play it. So it definitely helps, especially when I see like a receiver give me a move off the ball. Like I automatically know what he's doing. I trained for a receiver for 3.5 years, so it definitely helps.
That play right there shows me receiver skills. Most DBs will not make that catch right there. That'll hit them in the face, and that's the end of it. Most DBs play DB because they can't catch.
Exactly.
It's just true.
It's true.
And you have very natural hands. That's obvious. You've got some pretty good length. And I think with your frame, depending on what you want to do, you could play safety, corner, or nickel, which is a nice problem to have. And you've got some physicality to your game as well. Do you prefer man, or are you more of a zone guy and like to break on the ball?
I consider myself to be pretty good at both, but I definitely prefer man more. I definitely love to play man more. At my school I really don't like getting much opportunities to play man. So when I do, I definitely take advantage of it. So we kind of play man, but like it's really cover three, and then it just ends up being like a pattern match. So it's kind of like man anyway.
Yeah.
But like when I get to go down and press somebody, like as you can tell right there, that's the best. That's my favorite part of my game for sure.
That's a lot of what Alabama does. Saban works out of a lot of cover three historically. They've changed some over the years because you can switch off and bring down the guy from the middle into the box. You can do all kinds of stuff out of it. It makes it pretty versatile. I like cover three for that reason, the same thing that your coaching staff's doing.
Mm-hmm.
What about playing the run? is it something that's difficult, like when to come up based on play action, or are you still kind of learning that since you're new to the game in terms of playing defensive back instead of receiver?
Sometimes it's like it's a little difficult, especially like in game, because like you said, I'm still getting used to it, especially with the transition from defensive back. I mean, from receiver. But when you in the game, like you really not thinking about it. Like you just got to go out there and hit. You got to hit somebody. You got to do your thing.
With the way they have the RPO game and linemen having more than a yard, unlike the NFL where it's supposedly 1 yard for RPO, it's pretty difficult to figure out what's going on because you need to be two
Right.
places at once, literally in conflict because mathematically, obviously, that's not plausible. It is interesting that the spot you get put in. What do you think your best attribute is as a defensive back right now?
Um, I think it's my ability to break on passes and the fact that I can play multiple positions. Like like you said, I can play nickel, safety, and corner, which makes me just more versatile at the defensive back position.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then like I said, I can break on passes pretty quickly. I've been working on that for the last 2 years, and I saw a lot of improvement in myself this year at that. So I was really proud of that.
Well, that's part of it, man. DB is a lifelong learning skill. It's not easy because the guy you're going against is running forward, you're running backwards. Which one's got the advantage?
Right.
It's rhetorical. So there's a reason kids prefer playing receiver. They want
Yeah.
the advantage. I get it, but again, it's much easier to make the highest level playing DB because 4 out of 5 guys would rather play offense. Last question before we move into recruiting. This past year, did you feel there was a point where the light kind of came on? Okay, now I kind of get it, or is that something that it's still a work in progress and you kind of feel it out each ball game?
Um, it was definitely like I'm gonna have to go with week 3. Week
Okay,
was probably the best game of defensive back that I've ever played. I had 2 interceptions and I had a couple pass breakups. It was coming off like I would say it was a rough week for me. In week 2 versus Alito. So like it was definitely one of my best games this year. And definitely when that light clicked in me and it was like wow, like what I'm saying? Like it was just a good game. And then like it basically just transformed my entire season into what it was. So
well, was there a reason for it? Was it just understanding scheme, film, maybe a combination?
I think it's like I don't know. I think it's just like everything just clicked. So like, especially coming from a private school and coming to public school, it's a lot more difficult, I would say. So when I hit that week 3 and like everything just started clicking for me and I started playing extremely well. So yeah, everything just basically clicked.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Yep.
Now, as far as recruiting, you just got your first pretty good sized offer from SMU in the last week or so. You've got schools like Texas Tech and Utah State, et cetera, on the verge of offering you. What is it you're looking for? Do you want to stay in the state of Texas? Do you care if you go from home? I mean, like Mississippi State's talking to you. What is it that you're looking for at your next stop?
Right now, um, I'm kind of just trying to see what I get. Um, like I'm really looking for a home somewhere to like take care of me and my family. And like whoever shows me and my family the most love is gonna be where I end up making my final decision to.
Okay,
So that family piece is really important to me, especially growing up in a home where my family has always shown love to me. I want to give back some of that love and
sure.
pretty much make sure they're a part of my decision. And also, I'm looking for somewhere like I'm not gonna say play immediately because that's not always gonna happen. But I wanna go somewhere where I have a really strong relationship with the coaching staff, and just somewhere that I know I'm gonna play at.
Well, there's nothing wrong with wanting the opportunity to hit the gridiron. If you didn't want playing time, just go be a regular student.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty straightforward. Well, Bruce, I appreciate it, man. I really, really do appreciate you coming on the show. You're the first Texan that I've had on the show. So I know you're a transplant from Arkansas, but I'm going to count you the same anyway. Yeah, and you're one of my favorite cities. So I love the city of Dallas. It's a lot of fun to be there. So stay on with me here just for a sec. Everybody, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification button. I'm going to have other players on here like Bruce and many other players across the Southeast talking some football and recruiting. So make sure you do that. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to watch this and taking your time. I will see you again soon.